if we have 5 minutes before I start recording,
Not a
maybe we
problem.
could just have a conversation and let you know what we expect and make sure you're okay.
Yep.
So it's the platform. I will still talk about it when we start recording. It's what we try to do is get diaspora to start engaging the Nigerian mind. We coined it out, as David had coined it out, as the reverse brain drain, you know, in a way of how can we extract value from our conversations here, and then, obviously amplify that value so people can consume that value based on the fact that this is a companion medium. So around that space is where we're trying to operate. We
Beautiful.
don't want to go full blown into, oh, let's conduct interviews. No, because it's a conversation. The value in the conversation is what we have always been looking at, and
Beautiful.
I hope you understand the need for us to want to reach out and want to give back, because we don't think there's any other thing that we can do from abroad besides giving back to our country. So that's the angle we're coming from. Is that okay?
And
Beautiful.
I especially want to say a big thank you. We know you're a very busy man. We're most grateful that you've accepted to give us this 1 hour. So, having said that, I'll pass the bat back to Solomon to start the proceedings.
No, maybe before we start the procedure, maybe you people could tell me a little bit about yourselves. And
Oh yeah,
I
that's
like
right.
the idea, the New Nigeria Initiative. Is it the New Nigeria Initiative Group or what?
I will tell you
It's
what
just in,
it's just
go
the
on.
new Nigerian. It's the new Nigerian because it started off last year. Let me give you a quick feedback. Started off last year around this kind of time when we hit the pandemic hit, and then we were trying to have conversations around the black man, George Floyd, and then Nigeria. And then the idea of the new Nigerian is for us to have the conversation going, so whoever listens to it can identify as something new. So we're not proposing that there is needs to be a new Nigerian, but if you change something in you, you become new. So what is that thing that needs to be changed? It can only be found in the conversations, value-driven conversations that we have, so that when they consume it, you would know if you're going to identify as a new entity. You know?
It is also a way to
Mm-hmm.
give back to motherland, a way to get Nigerians in diaspora to come together to collaborate on projects,
Right.
schemes, thoughts, which will benefit the youth of our country, which
Right.
will benefit the population in our country, and have something positive.
Yeah.
Everybody always talks about the negative of Nigeria. We're all aware of that.
Yep.
But in that negativity, there is so much positivity. And the new Nigerian is a platform where this positivity can be highlighted, enhanced, and also highlighted, enhanced, and also utilized. We don't see any reason why our best in diaspora cannot start giving back. Most of us benefited from the good of Nigeria
Right.
before we all decided to find what they call our square roots to diaspora for a better life. So if we've achieved a better life, I'm sure we can start to give back.
Beautiful. So this is the New Nigerian.
Yes.
Yes.
But I have an organization that is called the New Nigeria.
The new
Oh,
The
Nigeria.
New Nigeria
Oh, that's
movement.
the collaboration
The
right
New
there.
Nigeria
it's,
movement.
if effectively, that's the collaboration. Absolutely.
A little bit about myself. 2 minutes before we go, we'll have to move the time. So my name is Solomon Aleto. I was born in the United Kingdom, but I schooled in Nigeria majority of my secondary school years. So I've been here for 25 years, and I'm a digital marketer by profession. So I manage for a company called Publicis Sapient. So all the advertising and all that good stuff. In my spare time, I'm a mentor, I'm a life coach, and I'm a football coach as well. So I give
Football
back to my
coach.
community. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I do a lot of giving back to my community, and David is my partner. We grew up together at the same location. We're from both from Benin, He's fully engaged in our conversations, and we are both partners with the TNM platform. And the majority of, like I said, what we do as a collective is seek Nigerians that have value to give back and engage them in a podcast style, and then amplify that podcast to specific or to the general public so they can consume and extract the value. This is why we're here.
Beautiful.
Yes. My name is David Erebo. I'm from Benin. Grew up all over Nigeria. I was born in Jos. Lived in Jos, lived in Lagos. Went to school in Ondo State. Did my youth service in Adamawa State. So I'm a product of Nigeria.
Yeah, history. You studied history as well. You didn't put
I
that.
studied history in the university. I'm a product of Nigeria. Up until 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I was not interested in anything Nigerian. A friend of mine took me to a political gathering of Edo people, and I saw the passion of some people who were so interested in what was going on in Edo State, how they would want to contribute. That gave me a thought, and it is that thought today that has manifested into the new Nigerian with Solomon.
I like it.
Okay, but I know we're going to talk about you, but that has to be recorded because there's a lot of people that need to know a lot about you, Doc. And because maybe I should say this when I'm recording it.
Yeah. Well, I'm
before I-
ready. I'm ready to go
Okay,
now.
okay, fair enough. Good, because the other thing is, it's not an interview. We're not here to.
It's a
interview you, we're
conversation.
here
It's a
to
conversation.
discuss. Exactly. So
Good.
feel free to interject, and we can at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. I'm just gonna record this now.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Hey, welcome to the TNN platform with my co-host David, and today we have the amazing Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Before I introduce Dr. Sunday, from my point of view, you might not know this, Doc, but I have been an admirer of your works for quite some time because I've always struggled to understand how you preach in Ukraine, you know? And I've always wondered that you're not in the UK, you're not in America, this is Ukraine, you know, and they're quite, you know, Europe is quite a tough place. Anyway, but I've always admired you from that point of view, and it's with great pleasure and utmost respect that we are so pleased to have you on the platform today to discuss in this podcast, to engage with you, and obviously to highlight that value that you give to us. So welcome, Dr. Sunday Adelaja.
Thank you so much, Solomon. And thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, the new Nigerian, for having me. It's my pleasure to be able to engage in conversation with people who are thinking that there is still something good that can come out of Nigeria. I've seen and I see on daily basis so much negative coming from Nigeria, and people don't want to talk about anything positive at all. So to see people like you coming together to create a platform that is telling us about a new Nigeria and a new Nigerian, that just, it makes my day. And I'm so excited about it because, most of our people right now don't want to talk about Nigeria at all, talk less of talking about a new Nigerian. So I really appreciate your efforts, guys.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll just go straight into it. Like we said, it's really a conversation. So getting to know you, getting to know us, it's a two-way thing. But because obviously we've invited you to the platform, we've talked about ourselves in so many of these conversations. So it would be nice if listeners, consumers of this podcast, get to know Dr. Adelaja on a level that maybe you've kept to yourself for a bit. So a little bit about introduction about yourself, and especially, some background would help us kind of find a soft landing so we can engage from there going into life in the diaspora.
Well, thank you so much, Solomon. I grew up in Nigeria, just like most Nigerians. I grew up till I was 19. And when I was 19, I got a scholarship out of Nigeria to come study here in the former Soviet Union. And so I've only lived 19 years of my life in Nigeria. Most of my life, I'm 54 now. So I've been living here for 35 years of my life, while I lived in Nigeria for just 19 years. Basically, I was a kid when I was in Nigeria. I was
Yeah,
a
obviously,
teenager,
teenager.
yes. So I left Nigeria, but where you grow up always defines you. So I've been defined and packaged by Nigeria. And I believe that if Nigeria could produce me, that same Nigeria has greater people, greater talents, and greater minds that same country has produced and will produce. Personally, I grew up in a village of about 40 huts, just about 40 huts. And, I was growing up poor. I never wore shoes till I was in my maybe 12 years old. I no, when I finished my high school, I was admitted into University of Ife. They used to call it University of Ife that time. I think they call it Obafemi Awolowo University now. But I couldn't even go because I was so poor. I was that poor. So the fact that I gained a scholarship to travel abroad was my opportunity in life. And Nigeria gave me the opportunity to be able to gain a scholarship. I know that many people don't have such similar opportunities now, but at least I was one of the 300 people that got a scholarship that year, and that changed my life, and that's why I am where I am today. So I read journalism, so my profession is I'm a like like a media person like you guys. Maybe you are not professional media people, but I was trained as a journalist. So
Right.
yeah, so I did masters in journalism, and I stayed here. I wanted to go back home, but being a Christian myself, I felt led to remain here, and then I became a missionary. Started a church. I studied in a city that is called Minsk, Belarus. Then I
Yep.
moved from there after my masters to Ukraine, where I am now, Kiev, Ukraine,
Yep. Yep.
where I started a church. And this church was started in 1994, so you're about 27 years old now. And and it has grown to be very big, so some people think it's the biggest church in Europe, evangelical church, but it's mainly 99% white Europeans, comprising of Ukrainians, Russians, Jews, Polish people, just all kind of people from Europe. And we have over 100,000 in all this part of the world. Ukraine, Russia, many branches all over the world in 50 countries. But then when I was 50, about the time when I was 50, I started having a very strong urge to go back to Nigeria. I thought I've proved everything here in this part
Have
of
you
the
gone
world.
back between that period before? Have you visited once?
Yes, I'd visited
Okay,
a few
okay, fair enough.
times.
I just wanted
Yes,
to get that.
I visited Nigeria a couple of times, just briefly. I never thought I was just like you, Solomon. I never thought I think it was David who said that. I never thought I would ever have anything to do with Nigeria anymore. Because when I came here, I was going to England and Germany, and so I was seeing Christians like me, the way they behaved, and I saw that mostly Africans would just pastor or form churches from their
Yeah.
own people. And I saw that all over the world, and I saw that even in America, that most of our people just go and constitute a gathering, a cultural gathering, and call it a church. And so I was determined that I will not do that. There is no sense in God bringing me here from Africa only to come and do an African church here in Europe. So I was determined that I was going to reach out to the locals, and I was going to pay the price, and whatever it would take, I would make sure that I achieve success in that. So, God helped me. I was able to achieve that. There are a lot of African pastors here, but the problem is that they are all pastoring black people. That's why nobody knows them. They think I'm the only pastor here. So God helped me to be able to reach out to the locals, speak the language, and be able to basically pastor them and become like them. So I became so much like them that I forgot my native language. Now my native language is Yoruba, and I never actually spoke English before I left Nigeria. You cannot go to school in Nigeria and not speak English. But I was in such a remote village, I didn't speak English. They don't speak English there. The only place where you hear English spoken sometimes is in the classroom when they are teaching you English in the English class or biology class, things like that. We never spoke English in the village. And even in the classroom, the teachers would be speaking to us in Yoruba so that we understand. But I was good in English because it's a subject, so I passed it. But I really never spoke it. In Nigeria, it's written, everything is written.
Yeah.
So I never knew that this could happen to me, that it will get to a point when I will not be able to speak my own mother tongue anymore. But I so much adapted to this country and, adopted their culture. Because for you to be able to touch a country the way God has helped us to touch this country, you need to totally immerse with them and, imbibe their culture and be able to speak their language in such a way that they will think you are one of them. So because I had not spoken Yoruba in like 20 years or 15 years, I'd only speaking their language, and I didn't want to forget English. So, that was the only way for me to not to forget English. So I could always be speaking either Russian language or English language. So, and when I'm with foreigners. So when I see even people from Nigeria, I speak English to them so I don't forget English. So the casualty of that was Yoruba language. But now I started studying it again. I got a teacher. I could understand when people speak it, but I couldn't speak it. So now I started regaining my Yoruba language, because I thought I would never go back to Nigeria. But since the Lord began to put that in my mind to go back, I started revamping my Yoruba language, and I started developing passion and love for the country and trying to think of ways that I could repeat what I've done here back there, but not in the area of church. I don't want to go back to Nigeria to build a church because we have too many churches there, and I think that's one of the problems of the country. So I don't want to do that. I want to just go back to Nigeria and do transformational works, things that will bring about social transformation, economic transformation, and maybe political transformation or something like that.
This is amazing. We just had a conversation with a guy who he's gone like 4 times to the governor of Kaduna State now. We literally just went off the phone with him, and then we have another conversation with a guy in Ukraine where I was talking to David about it. The thing is, out here in the diaspora, as you can imagine, Doc, there's a different kind of lifestyle. Some people really find it difficult. Some people really like it. But from your point of view, if you've been here from 19 years old, surely you must have faced some kind of challenges, be it like, don't forget that all of this is about value to give back, because those challenges will help spur the mind of people who want to come or who are listening to you at some point. So those challenges, is there an instance where you've actually looked at it, and said, look, I can't take it anymore. I want to go back home. This is from you being 19, your teenage years into your 20s, that. Are there any challenges you can highlight and give back to say, look, you got to keep on going?
Yes, that was when I just left Africa for here. I had this very interesting story, because when I finished high school, like I said, I got admitted to that University of Ife. Then I applied for scholarship. I was admitted into 2 universities abroad. One was to Russia here, and one was to New York, Columbia State University in New York. So that was another opportunity. But my pastor that time advised me that I should go to Russia, because if you go to America, there was too much temptation as a young man. You are 19, and America is too much of temptation. But if you go to Russia, if you survive it there, you will survive it anywhere. That's what he told me. So I chose Russia. That was him. So when I came here and I saw the lifestyle here, totally different from what I was used to in Africa, I was so broken and I was so discouraged. I wanted to go back home, because I was thinking I would rather go back to Nigeria. I would not have money to go to school, but I thought maybe I could reconnect to my other scholarship to New York, to America. And that's what I wanted to do. But then, God sent another person to me and said, no, God is a God of purpose. And if he brought you here, he must have a purpose about it. So that was why I stayed. That was my first challenge. The second challenge was my professor in the language school, because here, before you go to their university, you've got to go to, now you can go and just go to university and study in English. But when I came here 35 years ago, you couldn't study in English. So you had to study the language by going to the language school. And then after studying the language for 1 year, you go to the university and study with their citizens in their language. So I came late because I had stayed in the hotel in Moscow for 2 weeks, trying to fight my way to go back home to still connect to America. So I was late to my classes. So by the time I got to the classes, I couldn't even catch up with my team, with my classmates. And so my professor said, "You will never learn this language." And that you say you are a Christian, you are a believer, and God is a miracle working God. God can help you, but I'm an atheist, and I tell you, even God cannot help you to speak this language. So that was a challenge because I was so discouraged that this my teacher who was supposed to help me to teach to learn this language, and now he's telling me that even God cannot help me. So as a believer, I went to pray to God, and God gave me a scripture. I stood on it, and the rest is history. I became the best student in that class and the best student of that professor, and he became proud of me and things. Anyway, so that was a big challenge for me, and I overcame that by going to the library. We studied for 7 hours every day. Then from there, I would refuse to go home. I would go to the library, and in the library, I would stay there from 3 o'clock till night for another 6 hours. So, and I did that for the next 6 years for studying here, and that's what helped me to really excel. So that's an example for our people who might face situations or difficulties when people will tell them that this is unsurmountable. When you trust in God, and then you don't just trust in God, but you put hard work into it as well. You will always be able to overcome that. Then the second challenge that I had here in this country was that I was a Christian, a believer, at a time when this was Soviet Union, and Soviet Union didn't believe in religion; they believe in atheism. And so they challenged me. They came to my room one time and saw the picture of Jesus on my wall, and they were sending people back home. Some people were being sent to the psychiatric hospital. Some people were being sent to Siberia, just because they were believing in God. So I knew that I was in trouble, and they said I should take down that Christ from the wall, that picture of Christ from the wall. If I don't, that they were going to send me back to Africa, or. But I know that they sent another Nigerian from Imo State to the psychiatric hospital. So, and then God just spoke to me and said, you can allow them let them take him down, but don't allow them to take me down from your heart. You can allow them to take the picture down from the wall, but never allow anyone to take me down from your heart. What matters is what's on your heart. So that was another challenge. And then another problem was that all of us, no matter who you are, when you are studying in Russia, you've got to study that time, not now. You've got to study scientific atheism. And what that means is that before you could pass from one class to the other, you've got to prove to the professors and pass exam scientifically proving that there was no God. So how could I do that when I'm a pastor? When I'm a Christian, I was not a pastor then, but I was a Christian. How will I prove? But then God spoke to me and said, you know what? Garbage in, garbage out. Whatever they taught you in that class, that there is no God, study it very well. Become the best in it. And pour it back out to them at the exams. But never digest it so that it doesn't pollute you and it is not digested into you to make you believe in it. Believe in what you believe and just give them back what they give to you. And that was how I survived.
Fantastic. Um,
Wow.
uh,
I mean, David,
it's
go ahead.
it's a story for people to hear.
It is.
Uh,
Amazing
Doctor,
story.
I want to take you back. There you are. Can't speak English.
Huh?
You have no shoes.
19.
You leave Nigeria at 19, alone on your own. Today, the Spirit of God has spoken to you and said, I think it's time for you to go back to do what you say your purpose is. Now, how did that come about? Was it a thought that you'd been thinking, or was there a situation that arose that made you start thinking about your people again? Because if you remember, you said to us, Nigeria gave you that opportunity. You were one of 300. So do you think that from that situation arose this thought through God to try and deliver back to the people?
David, that's a very good question right there. What happened was that, frankly speaking, I eventually became very successful because I started this church here in Ukraine at night. Okay, I studied very well. God helped me. I became the best student in that school, university. In their 25 years, they were 25 years that time, in their 25 years history. So I got an opportunity to get a very good job. I moved from Belarus to Russia to Ukraine here, where I became one of the co-founder of their first private television station, and because they were looking for somebody who was a journalist, who was so good in Russian and in English, and So anyway, so I became a journalist. I was working here. So while I was doing it, the Lord spoke to me and said, you're a journalist, and journalists specialize in bad news, but I want you to become a carrier of good news, and that your destiny and your future doesn't lie in journalism, that you have to become a pastor. So anyway, I practiced journalism for a year, and then I stepped, no, maybe two, I was still practicing even when I started the church. So a year after I started work, I began the church, and I was still working, but I was a pastor now. So God blessed me, and the church, was successful. We started having all these people come, and after initial problems, of course, in the first few years we had struggles, but then the church became the biggest in Europe, so to say, and a black man, maybe the only black man in the world, that was having the largest congregation in the continent, with hundreds of thousands of maybe 50,000, 100,000 of white people following him. And I was getting invitation. I was invited to be a main speaker at Martin Luther King's holidays, birthday in America. I was invited by major television stations in America, Fox, CNN, all these people. I was, invited to speak in the United States Congress. I spoke and prayed in United States Senate. I spoke twice in the United Nations. So I was really doing well, and even up to now, overwhelmingly successful. So I became comfortable. And that is another problem, and that's another lesson that our people have to learn. That life is not just about success. So I became so successful, I just assumed that there is no way God is going to tell me to do anything else. I mean, I thought I've glorified His name. I've become so successful in it, and I've been able to bring so many people to the Lord.
Yep.
I'm living my good life, and that's the way it will be forever. Until I never even listened to Nigerian news. I never followed what was going on there. Mm-hmm. But each time I went, I had opportunity to go back to Nigeria. Some people heard about me, so they would invite me to speak for them in their churches, which I did. But the kind of church that I saw in Nigeria, even as I'm speaking now, my heart is just broken.
We'll get there soon. We'll get there in a minute.
It just breaks my heart. We don't have church anymore in that country. And whatever we call church, for me, is not church. We have abused the understanding of church and religion. So it has become an instrument of exploitation. Well, I just say, I don't want to have anything to do with them. Let them take it. I don't even want to go to that country anymore. That's their problem. But each time I went there, I would speak the truth to them, but I would just leave and say, thank God I'm not here. Then one day, I just had a very strong urge to go and seek the face of God. Normally, I would do that once a month and spend 7 days, just lock myself up in a room, rest, sleep, pray, seek the face of God for direction in my life and ministry. But this time, I felt God was telling me to do it for 2 weeks. So I was not going to be eating for 2 weeks, and I locked myself up in the room by myself, no family, no children, no eat, not just drinking water. And the last day of that experience, I just had a vision. I felt like God came to my room and left. No, it was like Jesus walked into that room, woke me up. I was still sleeping, but I was not. It was like He woke me up, but I was sleeping. But it was in the spirit. So I saw myself with Him, with the Lord, traveling all over, just in the spirit, The next thing I realized that we were in Nigeria. And in the country, while we were in the country, I saw a building. We went to a building that was like a church. And it symbolized the church of Nigeria, not just one denomination or one single church, just like the body of Christ in Nigeria.
Yep.
And then I saw that the ceiling was leaking, but this was a beautiful place, but the ceiling was leaking. And then the lights were off. I mean, like the bulbs were not, they were off. Some of them, some of them will be on, because in this part of the world, when you go to any building like that, you cannot see one single lamp bulb that is off. Everything is supposed to be perfect. But in that case, some of them were on, some of them were off. And why don't they change it? And then why is it the ceiling leaking and the water is coming and nobody is doing anything? Why is the toilet like that? So it has a very good, nice, fancy look from outside.
Right.
But a lot of defects inside. And the Lord told me that, that's a church in Nigeria. It's there, but it has all those cracks in the wall. And that this is your calling. So I came back to Nigeria. I saw other things there that are just details. Then I came back to my bed. Once I came back to my bed, the Lord was still with me. I was still sleeping, but this was like a vision. I just saw him pointed to the wall of my room. And in that wall of the room, he started pointing out what are the things to be corrected in the Nigerian church. 1, 2, he was writing them on the wall. Funny enough, when I woke up, all the 25 points remained in my mind, like it was printed there. I didn't forget anyone until I wrote them down. And that was when I knew that. And then the Lord was telling me, you've done a lot of work here in Europe. You've done well. But Europe and your experience in Europe was your kindergarten, was your school, was your learning process. You are just there to learn. Your real life purpose and destiny is to go back to Nigeria and make Christianity, to help restore the image of Christianity, to make Nigeria one of the leading Christian countries in the world. So that was and then these are the things to fix. So that was when my whole ministry just turned upside down. I was still here because I was fighting some of battles here also, lawsuits. But I started doing live broadcasts on television. On Facebook Live. I came like a tsunami, like an earthquake, talking about attacking and criticizing everybody. So I got a lot of enemies immediately. But I was just so stirred up by the experience I had. That's why I went out against everybody. Now I've cooled down a little bit, and I'm still getting ready to go to Nigeria.
I don't think we should cool down, though. I don't think we should cool down. It'd be like John the Baptist. We can't cool down. I mean, that is an amazing story because, you must have seen me laughing. I'm not one to hold my expression. If something is exciting, I can't hold it. David, you can testify to that. I think one of the things that you were saying that kind of lit me up was when you say you were on a mission from God boldly to fix the Nigerian church. If you look at what we were going to talk about today, part of it was obviously Nigeria's religious, the impact in Nigeria, and the value from religion in Nigeria. Now, you have hinted to us that you've seen this vision, clear vision, it has been given to you, regardless of what the situation is. But you see, that purpose of you wanting to do what you've seen or what you've been ordained to do, a lot of people get sidetracked. They might have similar visions for the African church, for the Nigerian church, but they get sidetracked based on, it could be temptation, it could just be influences. But if we stick to the format, the conversational point, are there any influences or models that you've in the past looked at that have obviously now enhanced your belief or projected this, apart from obviously the obvious one being God and the Christ, but are there any models out there that, especially from Nigeria, that you can say you can relate with or align with that are doing what we need to do before we go into the impact that religion has in Nigeria?
You are talking about models like church models or pastors?
Yeah, definitely. Religious models, clerical people, just people that you can highlight and say, yeah, this is a guy I've listened to or looked at, or this is a lady that, has this persona that we think or you feel, has any kind of influence or had influence on
frankly speaking, growing up as a Christian, I've been hugely influenced by almost all the religious leaders in Nigeria. First of all, before I left Nigeria, I got born again by listening to my sister, first of all. But, I got saved listening to my sister, but my sister then introduced me to a certain pastor. They call him W.F. Kumuyi. And he was preaching on TV. So when I listened to him, then I got saved proper. I really got committed listening to him. I got saved again. And so he really influenced. I went to his church for 6 months before I left Nigeria. I was only a born again Christian for 6 months in Nigeria. So before then I was Anglican, but I was, Anglican those days, we were just going like, for like a formality. But I got saved 6 months before I left the country. So for those 6 months, this man and his teachings, he really impacted me big time. And then, I got to know about Pastor Adeboye before I left Nigeria. I bought his books, and he also impacted me big time. Then I got to meet him personally in the US. We ministered together. Then he invited me a few times to Nigeria. I spoke at his redemption camp in Nigeria. So he also was a great encouragement and blessing to me. Now, then, this was in my process of growth and development. And then also there is another pastor they call Pastor Bishop now, Bishop Francis Waleoke. He was coming here when I was a student. He was coming here to Russia to organize student union conferences. And he was a real great blessing to me. And then I got to meet, in 93, Archbishop Benson Idahosa. He was, he really impacted me because he was more international, and he was exposed to white people and just people like I was living among. I was living among white people, and he knew their mindset, and he was ministering to them effectively. So when he came here, he told me before I started at church, he's one of the ones who gave me the encouragement that you are in Russia. Please don't do what these people have done in America and in England. Don't go and start a black church. I was interpreting for him. I was an interpreter because he came here to preach, and from Nigeria, and I was interpreting for him, and he's gone to many countries. So he was a big influence. Then invited me to Benin City. So I went to Benin City, met his wife. I later on invited his wife here after we started our church. And I was in Benin City a few times, and 2 times. And then, so he was a big influence in my life. Right now, then, I met people like Bishop David Oyedepo. I spoke in his church. Went with, all these people they are very conversant with me. They knew me, but they mostly knew me as a young man that is doing so well in Europe. How could you, as a Nigerian, build a 99% white church? And it's not just 100 or 200 people, like 25,000 people just in Kyiv here. And so they admired me, and they liked me, and they supported me. But as I was growing up further, I didn't understand what they were doing because I would only visit Nigeria and come back. But when I began to look deeper into the church, I started to see cracks as well, into all these denominations. And that's why I started to speak about them. But before I started to speak on Facebook, though, I went to each one of them and spoke. I couldn't speak to Archbishop because he was dead. But I spoke to all the people that I knew, people like Deboye and his team and his disciples, Oyedepo, Waleoke, and people like that, and about my concerns for the Nigerian church. So after I had spoken to them privately, and I saw that, this is even more than them, because I even spoke to Pastor Kumuyi as well. And he went back to his church and said, I'm going to change things. And the way things I've done these things, I've built this church in a wrong way, and I'm going to pull down some of the man-made theories and doctrines. But he couldn't do it because it has become more than him. So all these things that are happening in Nigeria, these denominations, the structure and the system is become stronger and is more than even the founders. So even the founders themselves might realize some things, but they cannot change them anymore. that's the way things are right now. Like the example of Pastor Kume, for sure, I knew he was determined to change some of the things, but the system would just confine him into that system. So a lot of these people have blessed me. But right now, if you want me to talk about people that I think are really close to the way white people or brought the gospel to us, or to the gospel that was brought to us by the white people, or to the people that are a bit closer to the gospel of the kingdom, I would mention names like there is this young man, they call him Sam Adeyemi in Lagos.
Sam is awesome.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Fantastic.
There's another guy. He's older than me, but he's doing well too. They call him Tony Rapu. Then there is this man. He's an older man, but he really understands this whole thing. It's called Bishop Abraham Olaleye. Those are the ones I know. Maybe I'm sure, God always says that he has 7,000. When we say there is nobody, God could say he has 7,000 other people stay there that are getting it right. So those are few people that I know. I'm sure there might be more people, but those are the ones I think that are really doing. There is another person they call, there is Paul, what they call him? Adefarasin, yeah, but not Paul. And I'm not talking about Paul. He has a brother. The brother is called Wale Adefarasin. Yeah, so that brother is not as prominent as the junior brother, but he's an older brother to him. He got it right as well, and so those are a few people that I know that are trying their best to really correct the doctrine and the form of gospel that is being preached in Nigeria now.
I mean,
So Solomon, Tony Rapu. I think I've heard the story of him. He's a form of philanthropist as well.
Yeah.
He goes into places like Ajegunle.
Yeah.
Sees these young children. I think there's a particular boy who was smoking a lot of marijuana, committing a lot of atrocities that Tony Rapu has touched, and he's turning out to be a fantastic young man as we speak.
That's the same guy who saved the lady who was a drug addict. The video of him somewhere. There's a lady who was a drug addict, and he basically returned her to what it is. But yeah, thanks for that.
But does that look like what the church will be doing?
Well, to be honest, that's what Jesus did. Jesus preached to the people.
Yeah.
Jesus healed the people. Jesus showed the people the right way through his words and through his actions. Now, I'm not necessarily a very strong Christian, begging your pardon, doctor, but I do believe in Jesus Christ. I know that his doctrines are what we need. This leads me to a question I'm dying to ask. The impact of dubious religion on our people in Nigeria. There's what they call the get rich soon.
Yeah, get rich quick or something.
Get rich quick preaching. There's a
prosperity gospel.
The prosperity gospel. I don't know how that is impacting our people in a positive way.
No, not positive. It could be impacting them, not positive. I think it's all
exactly. I don't see how it is impacting them positively. All I see is our people trying to get rich quickly. The youth no longer want to work. They've gone away from the model of hard work, which is what we learned as children, into trying to get rich quick. You see skits on Facebook where they go into church, they're spraying dollars on the pastor, and the pastor is wishing them well. Where did this come from? How can we change that? You know?
David, you see, that question you're asking is the same question that we wanted to repurpose for Doctor when we say religious values in Nigeria from a diasporic point of view. Because, Doctor, you mentioned that the kind of church system in Nigeria is not really what it's supposed to be. And I agree with you. We have models abroad. And when you hinted at Bishop Idausa, who was always going abroad and coming back with something different. Now you've more or less found yourself in almost that situation where you've not only studied abroad, you've studied what it is to be an atheist, but you're not an atheist. You've studied what it is to be a Christian from a system where you know you're going to face more or less the major challenge in an atheist society. You've come out of it. Now you can see clearly where our faults are. So when it comes to religious values in Nigeria that you can see, from a diasporic point of view, what value do you think we should now be bringing into religion? Simply because you've been here for 30 odd years. So you know what's right, what's not wrong. You're seeing these guys on TV, you're seeing these ladies on TV doing what they shouldn't be doing. So what values should we really be representing, not only as Christians, but from a religious point of view? That's from your experience, though.
Number one, I like the way Christianity is being practiced in Europe. People don't necessarily go to church in Europe,
Yep.
but their lifestyle,
Reflects it. Honestly, I say this all the time. It does reflect it. You're right.
their lifestyle is even better than people who are the most religious in Nigeria.
Someone sees you in the morning and says, "Have a good day," from the bottom of their heart. You know, they're wishing me well. So, yeah, go on.
They are not religious, but they will not steal, they will not cheat, they will not defraud you, they will follow the rules. What is better than that? Okay, for example, I had a friend. I mean, not the same guy, the same bishop I mentioned. His name is Bishop Waleoke, Francis Waleoke. He told me a story of him coming to England, and when he was there on Monday. So he said he was coming to do some programs as a pastor. He said he's a bishop. So they told him, okay, what message did you preach on yesterday? And they wanted to cross-check him and say, why are you coming here so often and things? And he said, I'm a pastor, I cannot lie. I'm a pastor. They said, oh, so because you are a pastor, you cannot lie. Should I believe you because you are a pastor, then you cannot lie? Otherwise, if you had not been a pastor, he said, he was a custom person in the UK, a woman who was maybe not even a believer. He said when the lady said that to him, that so it would have been a normal thing for you to lie if you are not a pastor. So it means being a pastor is what makes you not to lie? So in their own mind, if you are just a normal human being, you shouldn't even lie in the first place.
Yeah.
So he himself said he is coming from a place where even pastors self is difficult for you to believe them. Talk less of ordinary people.
True.
You live in the UK, you understand? I think you should.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know, it's those values we're still trying to hint at. So, from what should we be taking from the society we live in, and introducing back in terms of religious values? You know,
Which means we should downplay, because in Nigeria we are hyped on church. Some people go to church 5 times a week. Some go to church every day. Some go to church in the morning and they will go in the evening again. In fact, some people take a break at their work to go and do some religious praying, or go to church during their work hours. So we are addicted to religion. But now the thing is that religion is not the same thing as being spiritual.
no, it's not.
And religion is not the same thing as having relationship with God. And I'm afraid what we have in Nigeria right now is no more about relationship with God. It's no more about that connection of my heart to heart. I don't have to go to church. I don't have to have a pastor. I don't have to do religious stuff that they're all doing. I just have to know my God. I have relationship with him in my heart. Just like the European people do. I don't have to hype it. But I just need to live by his concepts and by his precepts. I just have to follow and make my whole lifestyle to reflect his image, his light, and his truth. I think that might be one thing that diaspora could bring or introduce to the religious landscape in Nigeria. Unfortunately, though, a lot of our diaspora people are repeating the same thing that is going on in Nigeria.
Do you know why?
Tell me, tell me.
We see the effects already, even in the UK. You see all these things on Facebook. Their churches, reflecting the same values as they do in Nigeria. Now, how can we? Because from what Dr. Adelaja has just said, the few examples he's giving, this is leadership. This is also required in the Nigerian leadership.
Yep.
So how can what Dr. Adelaja is saying also influence leadership in Nigeria? This is what the new Nigerian is about. The new Nigerian wants vibrant people like Dr. Adelaja to start to change the mindset and orientation of our people to appreciate the values that he espouses, to bring the polity back to saner climes. This is why we do what we do. This is why I believe today is not by coincidence. This is why I believe that today is by what is meant to be. Because Dr. Adelaja's voice, Dr. Adelaja's influence, Dr. Adelaja's message will reach the people. And maybe we can start to get some sanity. Maybe we can start to get some movement in the orientation, in the brain thought process of our people.
Wow. Doctor, can you,
I agree absolutely with David, because you know what, David is saying this thing, and if you know what he's saying is so profound, because if you go to England and look at what is happening with religion and our people there, our people, our African people are repeating what's going on in Nigeria, in Nigerian church, and in England, but they are living not in Nigeria, they are living in England. As a result, you will not see white people go to their churches, because that kind of religion or Christianity doesn't attract white people. White people see it as madness, But there is a young man in the UK who got affiliated with me and wanted to learn. How come you are able to build a church of white people? So I told him, and it followed me, learn, and he discovered, So religion for a white man, they hate religion. But what real religion means to them is actually your actions, your good works, your good deeds. So for example, a white person might not be religious, but he would rather go to Africa. You will see going to the villages and look for orphans or orphanages or homeless people and feed them, and go and put electricity in some villages, water in places, and that to them is religion. You are reflecting God. You are bringing the love of God, the kindness of God to places. So this guy went, a Nigerian, Pastor Debo, they call him, Pastor Debo. He went back to England and started reaching out. I told him, just go and love people. Go and touch people with God's love. Forget about all this you're speaking in tongues and shouting and dancing and all this Rastafari that you people are doing. Just go and love people with the love of God. Go and demonstrate that. You will see why people follow you. So he went and started feeding people in UK. Started getting people off the streets. Started cleaning them up. Today, he is one of the few blacks in that country where 50% of all his people, before he used to have 100% African people. Now his church is 50% one service. He has one service for black people, and he has a totally different service only for white people. They started coming to his church when they saw good works. Nigeria, my God, people will be going to church. They will pass by all kinds of deformed people, deformities. They will pass by, deaf, dumb, crippled. They will not even pay attention. They will beggars. They just pass by, And they are taking millions or thousands to go and give as offering to the church. The church that is already dirtily rich. The church that is already building empires, that is already having planes, jets. They have every day, they will rather pass by, those unfortunate people. In fact, some people have even gone to the extent to say that giving to the poor will make you poor, so don't give to the poor. Go and give to the church only. So there is no virtue in our religion. It's only about what we do in church. To pastors, to big men, to church people, to God, to religion. But they don't know that true religion is to take care of the orphans. True religion is to take care of the widows. True religion is to look at the less privileged and reach out to them. True religion is to do what Jesus did. He said, I was hungry, you fed me. I was naked, you clothed me. I was in the hospital, you visited me. I was in the jail, in the prison, you came to me, you took care of me. It's like the story of the Good Samaritan. Some people were in a rush. They were going to church. They didn't pay attention to the guy that was beaten and dying by the roadside. Then the priest passed by, the Levite passed by. But this Samaritan, this Good Samaritan stopped, came out of his house and attended to the poor guy that was in need. And God said, this is the one that is going to heaven. All those guys who pass him by to go to church, even though they were rushing to church, they will still not make heaven. But the one that was not going to church, just going by his business, stopped by, took care of the desperate, needy person on the ground. He is the one that's going to heaven. The one that go to church, that is the church. That's the message Nigerian church needs to get. I think they are not hearing it yet.
They're not. I agree with you completely, Doctor. You see, like, you spoke about the value there. The religious values, like you hinted, centered around you helping people, helping people eat, getting people off the street. But I was going to ask you to explain, or rather expand on it, but you've already said everything I was going to ask you. You said it all in those conversations, which is, from the diaspora, what we're learning here, the way religion and churches are being run, it's more about charity. It's charity-based. People giving back. People not caring about the building per se. They just want to help humanity. But we seem to be lacking that back home. So are there techniques that you can more or less give out to the young pastors now, the young, evangelists, even the young people like us who just want to help, from a spiritual point of view? Are there techniques that you can help them with?
Yes.
Because people are going to download this as a podcast and consume it in their good time.
Definitely.
So what are the techniques that we can share with them from a diaspora point of view?
The very first thing we have to do is to stop taking money to church building. Unless there is a small church that is in need of they are in need of the money and they need the money to take care of their needs or their rent and things, and maybe they are a beginner church that they need help, and where they're using the money for. But you don't really need to take money to those churches that are already made. The first thing, every Christian, almost all Christians, know that giving is a virtue. It's a virtuous thing to give in Christianity. So redirect the focus of your giving. Take your decision today that all your giving, you will be responsible for your giving. Because when you just take your money to church and you don't know what that church is doing with that money, you are showing irresponsibility with your money. You are not being a good steward because you don't know what they have done with that money. So why don't you take responsibility, personal responsibility for your money? So the 10% or whatever amount you want to be giving to God, why don't you give to the poor? The Bible says when you do this to these poor people, you do it to me. Why don't you go and do that directly to people near you? For example, go to your village and find out about the needs in your village. And look at how many widows are there. Look at how many orphans are there. Or look at the road leading to your village. Or look at the amenities that are not there. Gather that money. Take care of the people. Use it as, that 10% or 5% or 1% of your income doesn't belong to you. Just assume that. And use it to take care of the really needy people. Even if you don't know any needy person, there might be people around you who are already doing outreaches. Partner with them. Be giving that money and let them give you a report of how many lives they have changed. What is your money doing? You'll be able to see it. Even if you are in diaspora, look for somebody who is reaching out, who is doing something. Tell your parents or your relatives, tell them to make a list of 200 widows for you, and maybe if you are putting aside 100 pounds every month, you know what that could do for Nigeria, for Nigerians, and that 100 pounds every month, by the end of the year, it will be 1,200 pounds. And if you use that and give it for them to go and do something good for children or for orphans or widows, that will give you so much joy. And not just joy to you, but it's going to give you so much reward in heaven than just you taking your money every Sunday to some church. You don't even know what to do with it. I think that should be the beginning.
We've come full cycle. We actually have come full cycle. I will tell you why, Dr. Adelaja. You see, when we set up this platform, it was to get this value that you have just dropped, giving back to the less privileged, giving back to the poor through collaborative projects. I'm happy to inform you that the new Nigeria is in collaboration with quite a few people in diaspora who are giving back health-wise, education-wise, agricultural-wise. We are starting to give back. We are seeing the effect of what we call the reverse brain drain. And what you've just said has just come back to the importance of valuing the less privileged.
That's right.
Hence, that movement that you talked about at the beginning, New Nigeria, New Nigeria, collaborating, continuing the process without giving up, sir.
Wow. Doctor, I mean, like, when we started the conversation, I told you I was a big fan of you. Obviously, you would not know that until I expressed it to you. But it wasn't based on your preaching, though. 'Cause I'm a Christian, and I listen to a lot of pastors, but not from a point of view of wanting to hear what they say. I'm actually listening to them to discover what they are doing. So I take my time to listen to preachers because I know a lot of damage can be done from a pulpit, and at the same time, a lot of grace is found in the pulpit. I have, like I said, I have looked at you. I've looked at so many of your videos. I've always wondered how you did it out there in Ukraine, and you've told us exactly how you've done it. And for that, I'm really grateful to have had the privilege to chat with you, to really get to know the individual that is on the Adelaja. Because I can now categorically go to somebody and say, you want to listen to a man of God who has people at the center of his focus. There's one of them, have a go. If tomorrow you put yourself forward and say, I want to go talk to Nigerians from a political point of view, there are a few people, by just listening to the kind of message you deliver, that don't even have to think about the gains that they would gain from knowing you, but they would think about the value that they're going to get from what you're saying. I just want to round it up. If you can bless us with a prayer, or at the same time, just give us the wisdom or ability to continue doing these good works for ourselves, for others, and obviously for the country. So we can really wrap it up on that note with your final blessing and your final advice for the young ones back home in diaspora who really want to go into some kind of a ministry, or want to go into fellowship, or are worried and scared about what they see out there which is not practiced right.
Oh, thank you so much. And just your words as encouraged me to share with you. Let me just briefly share what gave me the breakthrough in a foreign land, in this country. For the first 4 years, I could get people saved or come to God, but only black people or foreigners. I couldn't get one white European. For my first 4 years in Europe, I couldn't get one white person saved. And I didn't understand why. So one day, the Lord spoke to me that the key really is to go to the down and outs. People that are already out of the system, people that are already beaten down, hands down. So I was a journalist, a university graduate, and I was doing well. But then I've just removed my tie and my suit, roll off my sleeve, and with another lady, we started looking for drug addicts and alcoholics right in the city. And we started feeding them. We got a time we were feeding 2,000 people every day, free, 3 square meal. If you would do that in any city, you would not need to pray to God to send you members. Members will be all over you. That is one. Secondly, we started going to drug rehabilitation centers and hospitals where they were making them to, so where they were treating them. We started going to pray for them and care for them, clean them up, things like this. Drug addicts, alcoholics, homeless people.
Right.
Because the reason why I failed the first 4 years was I was doing what I saw people do in Nigeria. Would dress well, open Bible, and bringing some revelations or trying to do some miracles.
Right.
I didn't know that the miracle was in love, in touching people with God's love. When I removed my suit, my tie, and started just to go to hug people, clean them up, take care of them, from not being able to get 1% in 4 years, in 1 year we had 1,000 members, all white. And that's what white people value, even in the UK today, even in Europe. This is one thing that we could take from diaspora. They don't want all your religion. What does your religion teach you? Where is your religion? What does your religion do to people? How does your religion improve life, improve environment? I heard that there was a church in the UK, a Nigerian church, a big Nigerian church in the UK, that bought a property or something, bought land or property, and they wanted to take it. The government wanted to take it from them. That maybe the story is not accurate, but the whole idea is, what did you people do to the community? That you've been here in this community for 10 years. We can't see your work in the community. You are only coming to take offering from your people. We can't see what you have done. No development, no contribution, nothing. So they wanted to take the land. I even heard that they took the land from them. So these guys had to go and build a church in another place. Because Europeans don't value just going to church and sing, collect money from people, and then buy a big car and live big and say you have made it. Europeans don't appreciate that. What they want, the way they assess your faith, is in how much you are able to translate that faith to take care of the people around you and the nation you are living in, and to lift people up. So that would be my advice to young ministers, young pastors that will be listening to us. Change you have to unlearn everything it took me that 4 years to unlearn what I learned from Africa, to be able to embrace people with God's love rather than just doing religious stuff. That would be short of, this is not prayer yet. If you want, I could still pray, but that would just be, I just felt like sharing this because of what you said.
You have to pray, not just for us, for the listeners, for the audience.
Because this whole platform, the whole podcast series, like David said, it's not a coincidence. It's something we wanted to happen. You're the first pastor coming into the platform, because we've stayed away from religion and politics for a long time. So we said, how can we really touch on matters that we know are very close to us, but from a leadership point of view? And you were the first person that came to mind. So a befitting prayer would obviously, certify that. And parting ways is not something that we really do well, because we like continuity. So it's not going to be a case of that is it for us. No, there's going to be occasions where people might watch this and come back to us and want to reach out to you. So we would always leave that opportunity both ways, please. And I can only say thank you so much for all the knowledge that and insight you've given us into your own personal life, because you didn't have to, but people are going to be changed, and people will learn from it, and people will be inspired from it. This is what we aim to do.
Thank you so much. So, Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you so much for this opportunity to learn at your feet and to learn from my brothers today, to learn from Solomon, to learn from David, to hear from their inspiration. And thank you for the idea you gave them to create this platform, the new Nigeria platform, the new Nigerian platform. And I pray that this little contribution that I've been able to make into this platform and to this podcast, that you will use it to open people's eyes, to be a blessing to all our people all over the world, both in diaspora and in back at home in Nigeria, and even people from other countries. I pray that you will keep on using this platform to bring so much good to our world, to bring so much positive energy, that even like they have invited me and I've come to contribute something, that other people that are coming that will be invited, that they will also keep on disseminating knowledge, intelligence, wisdom to people, and people will be enriched, empowered, that even much more millions of people than we could imagine will be reached through this platform, that you will keep on blessing people both abroad and at home, and you will help us through this platform to make our world a better place, to make Nigeria better, to make Africa better, to make Europe, America, all places where we are going to be watching, to make and build a better world. Keep on blessing our hosts, the two of them, with your wisdom, with your insight, with your knowledge, with your grace, and keep using them to uplift people, to bless, to encourage, and to make our world even a better place on a daily basis. Thank you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Fantastic.
Amen.
Amen. Right.
Brilliant.
Excellent. So normally what we do, we will just say goodbye to the audience, but we switch off the camera and we have 2-3 minutes to when the camera is rolled up, just to do a quick recap and pleasantries before we go. So before we switch off recording, David, if you want to close for us, it's good.
I just want to say it's been a privilege and honor to have Dr. Sunday Adelaja on the New Nigerian platform. And I pray that the audience will utilize the value we've gained today, which hasn't been wasted, and move our country forward, move our world forward. I can't say it better than Dr. Adelaja said. So thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
I'll stop recording. And Dr. Sunday, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Yeah.